Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of The Inside. We are sorry for the late start of the program, and today we are looking at some issues of national interest, notably the momentum around the move towards the 2025 election year in the Republic of Cameroon, and we're also looking at what opposition politicians in Cameroon have qualified as threat and intimidation from the administration, and they were reacting to a recent statement released by the Minister of Territorial Administration warning opposition politicians against disrespecting the head of state and the institutions he incarnates, and also restricting the use of the clause, "Dear Cameroonians, my fellow compatriots," to the President of the Republic on grounds that he is the only one who speaks to the nation, who speaks to all Cameroonians, while political party leaders speak to their militants. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Joining us today, our guest is Barrister Accusations. He's a senior legal mind and member of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party. Barrister, thank you for joining us in this edition of The Inside.
Good evening, Babila. Good evening, televiewers. Good evening, international community. It's a pleasure being here in this super international TV station. The pleasure is mine. I want to thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming up after a long while. We have not seen you on Equinoxe, but we have been seeing you as well. But thank God you're with us here today. Exceptionally, we're going to start with interviews of the week today. And in the interviews coming up next, we have reactions of opposition politicians with regards to what they qualify as threats and intimidation from the administration. Take it easy. All right, we're going to start with these interviews of some opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon who are reacting to recent statements released by the country's Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, in which he warns opposition politicians from or against disrespecting or dishonoring the head of state and the institutions he incarnates, and he also restricts the use of this the clause, "Dear Cameroonians, my fellow compatriots," to the President of the Republic. And according to the minister, only the President of the Republic should use this clause because he alone speaks to the nation, for he is the President of all Cameroonians, while political party leaders are presidents of their political parties and so speak to their militants. This is the argument of the minister as far as the use of that clause, "Dear Cameroonians, my fellow compatriots," is concerned. Now take a listen to these reactions of some opposition politicians in the country.
I think that the move put in place by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Tanganji Paul, more of threatening some opposition parties with CRM included, talking about warning rather that we are against the institutions and against the head of state. You see, I was just called that an aspect of being overzealous and the abuse of power in toto. Because you understand that from what the outings we've carried out, especially at the level of the CRM, we've not been able to see where we faltered before the law. We have not seen anywhere in the Constitution that state that people should not have the ability to express their fundamental right. And we think that as legalized political parties, we have the right to have our say as far as issues within the political sphere of this country is concerned. Now, when we get issues of saying we are carrying out derogative statement against the head of state, the question is, what derogative statements are we making against the head of state? Now, these are issues that are dumbfounded and cannot be proven before any court of law. And that explains why I say it is an overzealous action carried out as a result of high abuse of power in a bid to intimidate political parties, including CRM, so to say. Of course, I will tell you that it becomes abnormal because there's no text still that tells you that we should not use the statement Cameroonians, fellow compatriots. I mean, you see, now these are issues that cannot be backed up by any law. And you find a state minister putting out these kind of derogative statements on the contrary and putting them forth to the public puts the ministerial aspect to question. And that's the more reason why we think that as political parties, we must be able to call on Cameroonians to be the judge, for they should be able to know those who work for the regime in the name of ministers, work for the ruling party in the name of ministers, and those who work for the entire nation. I begin to wonder whether the minister is a minister for the CPDM or it's a minister for the nation.
This state man has been known for his abusive methods in the exercise of his job description. He uses oppression and suppression, and nobody has ever called him to order. Not even the president, who is the head of the supreme magistracy of this country, has called him to order. He has remained silent to regards to the character portrayed and actions of members of his government. And this is so alarming because we are in the 21st century, a country that boasts of democracy, freedom of expression, freedom of belonging. He goes as far as accusing opposition parties of disrespecting President Biya. Sir, I am really sorry to shock you that there is no political party, opposition party in Cameroon that has disrespected President Biya. We are simply out, okay, to outline the shortcomings of your government. We are simply decrying the fact that you are not in command in this country anymore. That's all. We are not disrespecting you, Mr. President. I don't understand where this lullaby came from. Or is it because we refuse to march with the effigy of your president during the 20th May March Pass? Is it that? He is the president of the CPDM and not the president of the UPC. He's not the president of the CRM. He's not the president of the PCRM. He's not the president of the other opposition parties. No. He is the president of the CPDM, and they have the right to carry his effigy. But us, from the opposition, we cannot do that. If you think that is disrespect, we're sorry, we cannot do that. Because that is a political sabotage. That is a political maneuver. Like I have the attitude of saying, this is the most outrageous pre-electoral period I have ever experienced since I was born. No matter what you do, okay, Cameroon will experience a transition at the head of the supreme magistracy of this country. No matter the crook method you're using, be it oppression, be it suppression, be it sabotage, okay, we are going to take the supreme magistracy of this country. How can you say we are disrespecting the institution? We are disregarding the institution. Meanwhile, you are the first people. You are the ones disrespecting our institutions, our laws, our constitution. You don't master them, sir. Because if you do master our institutions and our constitution, you will not prohibit Cameroonians from using this opening speech that says, Cameroonians, Cameroonians, my dear compatriots. If you read our 1972 Constitution, the preamble starts with that opening speech. It spells out unity, fraternity, togetherness, which is one of the slogans of your president. So how can you say something and act the opposite? We are Cameroonians, and addressing our fellow Cameroonians using that opening speech spells out that unity, that fraternity, that love, that togetherness. And I don't see any law in our penal code that prohibits us from using that word. So I'm very sorry because you're trying to, destroy this country using some of your mentalities. I don't know where you take them from. We are not disrespecting the president, and we are not disrespecting the institutions.
We're listening there to some opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon reacting to what they have qualified as intimidation from the administration. Barrister Achu Julius, the first thing I want us to establish in this program is that whatever be the case, there is no one is allowed to disrespect the head of state or the institutions of the Republic. Now, talking about whether the opposition politicians are disrespecting or not, away from that, there is no reason, there is no justification for any Cameroonian to disrespect the head of state or the institutions of the Republic. I really want that to be established clearly. Now, your reaction to what the politicians are saying, but first of all, what the minister said. What is your perception of what the minister said?
First and foremost, the minister sent out a communique. A communique is just a message. You see, when you go into the academic appreciation or whatever he said, you lose the track. The minister was just merely reminding Cameroonians and political actors that we have a head of state and a president of the Republic who incarnates, who is the only person who can represent the country, who is the person who manages our sovereignty because he was voted into power. So he's reminding most of these politicians that, look, in as much as we know you are politicians of various political parties, there's a limit in your actions. Most often than not, it's preferable for you to address yourself to your militants, because that is where it matters. But when once you address yourself with Cameroonian on a national day, you address with Cameroonians. On any festival, any feast or festival, you make as if you're a president. It means you are comparing yourself with the person that's managing our sovereignty. It was just a message. It is not an injunction. It is not a document for intimidation. It is just a message you are sent. But you see, when once you minister, you have a bad mind, you have a negative mind in your perception of issues, you always stay negative. You always feel that there always something about fighting you or trying to disturb you or to block you from having your own rights. We're in a democracy. The minister still has a right to say what he thinks. You to say what you think. He's not to say what he thinks. And when he says what he thinks, you have to respect what he says. But say your own. And stop making as if what he says is a document from us. He says a message from the Bible. The minister just sent a message to politicians. But in any case, if I look at you and say you have a big head, and you really don't have a big head, do you have any reason to even react? A reasonable person who is not guilty of whatever he said, just keep quiet. But reacting means there's something much more than that. And I think the minister has provoked it. We are waiting to see what they're going to do further after this. Because just by saying a mere communique, a mere message, we have this reaction. Then there's something cooking. We are waiting for it.
No, but Barrister, when you listen to Mba Akwenaji, youth wing leader of the UPC political party, she says that the opposition parties are out to point out the flaws of the governance mechanism of President Paul Biya. They're out to point out the loopholes, to say this is not working right, you're not doing this right, this is what you're not doing well. And that seems to be what is now qualified as disrespect to the head of state, disrespect to the institutions.
You know,
should it be?
No. First and foremost, to talk on behalf of some political party, I don't know which opposition or which UPC she belongs to, you need to have some representative capacity to talk about issues on national level. If she was talking about issues about UPC, I would understand. But now she talks about opposition parties. Does she represent opposition parties? Let her talk about her party. The minister never talked about CPDM. The minister reacted as a member of government. And his own right, as in charge of our internal security, he has a right to make sure that people understand issues that might cause problems in the country. For now, Mr. Tangaji is the Minister of Territorial Administration, and it is his right to draw attention of whoever in this country of issues happening in the country. As of date, the head of state has appointed him. He's the Minister of Territorial Administration, and has taken his responsibility to say what he said. He sent a communique. He never signed a decision or an arrêté to stop somebody from doing something he's supposed to do. In any case, we want to show loopholes about a system. It's not on the academic level. It's not on the language it's being used. It's on issues that affect you and me. Tell me, what has that communique got to do with the way they run the country, with the way the country is managed, on issues that she says there is a loophole? Is it by saying what they are saying that makes a loophole in the government? I don't think so. When, as a politician, you are there to make sure you do everything to grab power. But every legal means to grab power. That's what a politician is supposed to do. So that by the time you come and take that same seat, you take your responsibilities. For now, the CPDM is in power. The Minister of Territorial Administration is a member of CPDM. He's now appointed as Minister of Territorial Administration. He's taking responsibility. Everybody should take his own. But in any case, I said, if you're not guilty of something, you don't need to react. By reacting, it means there's something much more behind that some of these opposition parties are planning to do. And you should understand that the Minister of Territorial Administration has sources of information that you yourself can never imagine. So the information he has before making a statement must have come from the institution itself. It must have come from issues that they have on their table and they're looking at it. But I know the state, I know the Minister of Territorial is always prepared to defend the state to the best of his knowledge.
But these are some of the issues that are often highlighted when this issue of disrespect comes up. Opposition politicians saying Mr. Biya has failed completely. Mr. Biya is a poor leader, a bad leader. He has drowned Cameroon. He's old and frail. He can no longer lead the country. These are some of the things that are often highlighted, and these are statements coming from opposition politicians all the time when they are talking about the country, when they are talking about the way the country is governed, and so on and so forth. But should this constitute disrespect? Are they not facts that we can see?
They are not facts. They are just presuming. In any case, it is for the people to judge a president that have been elected. It is not for some of these few politicians who run their mouth here and there. In any case, you say it is bad. You say it is wrong. You say the man is old. You say the man is this or that. What are you offering? What are they offering to Cameroonians? Which is much more better than what we're having now. That's why when we come to think about it, they are barely spreading hate. It is hate speech. Because
to say that somebody is old?
Yes, it is. Is it not natural? Is it supposed to be an insult? Is somebody, it's normal that somebody could get old, which is normal. Are they young themselves? Will they not arrive where he's arriving, where he is today? It's going to happen. But on the contrary, an opposition is supposed to be an alternative. They have to present an alternative to what is existing. What are they presenting? Hate speech? Poking loopholes only? Is that what the government will do in government? You see, that's why I say, at the end of the day, we don't have an opposition in Cameroon. They are just there barely to insult each other, insult people they don't like, continue to behave like the Amazonians, kill somebody that you don't like, who doesn't support your idea and things like that. That is what is in their mind. That's what's going on. And that's why this government has come into today to fight against hate speech. Because what they're doing is encouraging hatred and not proposing an alternative that an opposition is not prepared. I always ask every day in panels that I've say, okay, yes, you think that CPDM is not doing the right thing, or the government is not doing the right thing. What are you proposing? They have nothing to say. So it means that the only one is that they should remove those who are responsible for issuing doing government things, organizing government, or handling government issues, just to replace it. That's all they want. You call them now to come and become Minister of Territorial Administration, the speed that they will take to run to come and occupy that seat, you'll be shocked. So when you're talking all those things, I look at Cameroon, I feel sorry that we don't have a valid and valuable opposition.
Whatever be the case, as I said earlier, the head of state is the highest authority of the land, and he is there because God wants him to be there. He has been established, and so even with regards to his age, no one should disrespect him. No one should underlook him. No justification anywhere for disrespecting an authority of his rank and a father, an old man of his rank for that nature. Even morality, simple morality, we want that everybody should give him that respect, even if there are things that are not working right. But however, the opposition politicians think that they are not disrespecting the head of state in any way. They have never disrespected the head of state or his institutions. They are simply doing their job of pointing out what is not working and what is going wrong, what should be corrected. And so, now, another...
That is actually what I expected them to do. But are they doing it? The only way to become relevant when the Minister of Transition makes a communique.
Yes.
What else?
Another issue that is causing a lot of trouble and raising a lot of questions is the fact that the minister restricts the use of that clause, the clause, "Dear Cameroonians, my fellow compatriots," to the head of state alone. And the justification of the minister is that only the president of the republic talks to Cameroonians from north to south, east to west, all Cameroonians, because he's the president of all Cameroonians, while political party leaders should speak to their militants. But what is the reason? What can possibly explain this restriction of that clause to the head of state?
As I earlier said, the Minister of Territorial Administration sent a message. Are we in a democracy or are we not? He sent a message that this is what I think. That when you say this, it contradicts even our constitution, whereby it is only the sovereign authority or the authority that manages sovereignty that can address himself to Cameroonians. We're in a democracy. He never made any restriction. He never signed a decision nor an order. He made a communique, which is just a message. And in a democracy, whoever sends a message,
saying that you opposition politicians stop using, don't use this because you are speaking to your militants. Only the head of state should use this.
That is his opinion. As the Minister of Territorial Administration, he said it. Yes, he thinks that if you do that, you are not playing the role of the opposition party you're supposed to play. You are playing the role of the President of the Republic. So you should know how to distinguish between the two. Your role as president of the opposition party means getting yourself to your sympathizers and militants. But your role as president of the country, you talk to everybody. It's just a message. He has not said somebody shouldn't say. Has he closed somebody's mouth from saying it? Has he said it is illegal to say it? He says, he thinks that by doing it, it's on the contrary, he's giving a free advice to the opposition parties that please sell your party and leave the others. Sell your ideology and leave everything. Leave whatever presidency, whatever. Because at the end of the day, you're going to count on those same people to vote you into power.
But they're selling their ideas, their ideology to all Cameroonians because their intention or the target is to, why not, if possible, have all Cameroonians being their militants, the different political party leaders. That is why they're talking to all Cameroonians, because they are wooing all those Cameroonians to become militants of their parties.
Yes.
So why restrict them to talk to all Cameroonians and telling them to talk only to their militants?
I don't like that word restriction. It is not in that communique. You see, once you don't get the message in the communique, you go academic. I want to interpret each letter, each word. You get it all wrong. Very all wrong. You get it all wrong.
If it is not restriction, what is it then? He said, don't talk about this. You remain in this.
Do you agree with me that the Minister of Territorial Administration has a right to his opinion too? Do you agree with me? Or you refuse? He has no right to his own opinion, to what he thinks? He has not used that word restriction. He has said, opposition party, please, address yourself to your militants. In any case, have you seen the militants written on somebody's face? Address yourself to the militants. Rather than address yourself to Cameroonians in general, because in general, when you do that in general, you feel as if you're a president. That's why even during election, somebody says he's a president-elect. Distinguish between president of the republic and president-elect. You see, all that type of confusion, what does it amount to? Hatred. that is sowing the seeds of discord in our society. At the end of it, who feels it? You and me, the common man. That's just to me, that's what Minat, that's what Mr. Excellency Minister Tanganji is just saying. That look, what they're doing, these are the consequences, this is what may happen, be careful. He has not sealed someone's mouth from not saying anything. But you know, again, as a politician, they should be, Mr. Tanganji has given them something to say. They have nothing to say, they have nothing to offer, nothing to say until something happens from the government or from the CPDM. If a CPDM or government stays quiet, they feel detected. But there was whenever something comes out, they jump. Instead of using it in its appropriate context, they blow it out of context and transform it into something about hatred, not appreciation of a fact, not clean or good faith appreciation of facts which are tendered or what is written. It is just a communique, for goodness sake.
But there's something in that communique indicating that those who will continue to use that clause may face sanctions. He said anyone who decides to continue using that clause should be ready. Ready for what? We don't know. Probably sanctions.
You say probably. The main sanction is that the Cameroon people are watching and are seeing you guys. That's a sanction to me. When once you continue, instead of selling yourself as a political party, by wanting only to poke holes in what other people do, the people, Cameroon people are saying, no, they know that you are just a non-entity, you have nothing to offer. It's better to deal with the person that already see and know than to come to some non-entity who is there only to poke holes and presenting and proposing nothing else. That is the sanction. He's telling them. So on the contrary, Mr. Tanganji is advising the opposition party, but they still don't get it. They still don't get it. But in any case, we're in politics.
They consider that not as an advice, but as a threat.
No.
As an intimidation.
No, how can somebody say, I just made you a small allusion. I say you have a very large head. Is it true? You don't have a large head. But why are you feeling it? Why? Because an insult where your head is not large. If you don't have a big head, and as you have a big one, and you still feel as if you have a big head, and you take it as an insult, then there's something wrong. There's something wrong. You have a complex. It means you have a complex of your own. You are not sure of yourself. You have a complex about it.
But what do you think about the idea that we heard in some of the interview that we heard some few minutes ago, that clause, using that clause, speaks or sells out these important elements of unity, togetherness. I mean, it tells that the politicians are with the Cameroonians, are sympathizing with them, and some kind of love expression.
So if you as an opposition politician, if you love your people and you feel those who are managing the affairs of the nation are not up to the task, present an alternative.
And you feel that it is affectionate to see my fellow compatriots, some kind of affection in it.
You see, what I say it again, has Minister Tanganji sealed somebody's mouth from saying it?
But he said, be careful.
You know, as a communique, he sent a communique which is a message, which is just what he thinks. That's just what he thinks. And it makes sense to some of us that yes, he's right because these are the consequences. Giving a free counseling advice to the opposition, they don't take it, they don't get it. To them, everything is negative. Spread hate, spread anger, make as if the other person is bad and you are good. But meanwhile, you who think you are good, you are not presenting an alternative to that thing which is bad. I heard the interviews. I know the young man and the young woman were saying those things. I don't know how much experience they have about politics, but when it comes to politics, only the words don't count. It is the message behind the word that counts.
The meaning.
The meaning
in the words. All right, we're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week in Cameroon, and we'll be right back in some few minutes. The press review. Bloody 20th May in the Northwest region, reports the Horizon. A national day that turned bloody in the Boyo division, as reports the Guardian Post. The killing of the mayor of Bello and the subdivision's basic education inspector on National Day is qualified as joy and tears flowing in the same fold by the Sun. The Voice says both men were slain, and the Post emphasizes this happened on National Day. According to the Herald Tribune, they were killed by separatist fighters. Municipal Updates describes that atrocity as heartless. Meantime, President Paul Biya was presiding over a colorful parade in Yaoundé, reports the Median. Cameroon Insider highlights unity in diversity personified. In The Advocate, Barrister Agbo Bala pleads for unity and respect of diversity. In the Indian division, Cameroon Echoes reports that the divisional officer and mayor of Idabato rallied thousands of persons to preach peace and encourage voter registration. To stamp out insecurity, Municipal Update tells its readers that the senior divisional officer of the Manual Division called for a frank synergy between the security and defense forces and the population. Echo Outlook reports that customs officers intercepted a huge quantity of illegal petrol en route to Cameroon. The Voice, Atanganji threatens opposition figures for derogatory remarks on President Paul Biya. On the same issue, the Guardian Post says Minat boss dangles dagger at opposition party leaders Kamto and Cabral. Another issue of the Guardian Post presents Cameroon's history and political evolution as seen through the lenses of Senator Fortabe Tando. The Herald Tribune, The Horizon, The Voice and Eden project what is described as a big or biggest mining convention opened by Prime Minister John Gute in Yaoundé. Municipal Updates underscores the call by President Paul Biya's envoy on nations to maximize Cameroon's mining opportunities. You're welcome back. Barrister Julius Achu. The Guardian Post says Minister Tanganji Paul dangles a dagger at opposition political party leaders. Kamto and Cabral leading. Why are those two targeted? Are they a threat to the CPDM, to the government?
No, not at all. The government is trying to help them become something relevant to the country, on the contrary. Because they seem to be going out of their way to misunderstand the nitty-gritties of politics in Cameroon. The government wants to come back to their normal lane of being an opposition and nothing else. They shouldn't go astray. Insults, misconceptions, misunderstanding, and those things are not part of it.
Right. Let's talk about May 20 National Day celebration. It was a bloody one in the Northwest region, and more particularly in Bello, where the mayor of that municipality and the basic education inspector were killed by armed men. Now, this happening on National Day. What's your take on that?
First of all, whenever anybody dies, a Cameroonian dies, I feel it. It's very sad. Very, very sad, and I just can't take it or accept it. If you know my position from day one, I said an armed conflict among people of the same country, in the same country, the same nation, who have been living together for close to 60 years, is a very big mistake. Because at the end of the day, thugs and thieves will take it over. We're in a democracy. I don't need to share your opinion about issues. You don't need to share mine. We have a right to express yours legally. We don't need guns to express yours. When you carry guns, you become a criminal. And you become a criminal, and you will be treated as such. What has the mayor of Bello done to merit to be killed in cold blood with the deputy education inspector? What have they done? Because of their own opinion? Because they share a different view from the so-called Ambazonian people? These Ambazonian people, is that how you're going to run your country? So that the day you will win power, some of us should take guns to be killing you too? Is that type of mentality are we supposed to have in a country with mature people like them saying, carrying guns around the place? You see, I said at the end of the day, talks in such a conflict are going to carry the day. Go and check. There's no prison yet in Kumbo, Ndop, Womb, and I think in Bali. Where those are the prisoners carrying guns. What do you expect from them? Ideology? No. They kill for money. They call, they go and kill that person. For example, I know I had an interview the other day. Some guy sent information that they will track me to the end of my days. Hey, for goodness sake, I have my opinion, and you say you track me to the end of the day. Anyway, track me and do what you think. If you think that by tracking me alone is going to change, that is your problem. I just can't see the rationale in killing somebody who doesn't share your opinion. For example, do you mean that Minister Tanganji should take a gun or whatever, or also the CBI take a gun and shoot the guys who are criticizing him? Is that how we manage the democracy? Is that the type of government these ambassador people are going to have, where they do killings because of difference of opinion? I will never buy that. You better kill me if you can. If you can. But to me, the mayor of Bello and his colleague didn't merit what happened to them. Can you imagine if there was an exchange of fire? Because these guys forget that we two civilians as they are can take up guns. Can you imagine if there's an exchange of fire, family against family? Do you know the vendetta or the hurt or the killing or the bloodshed that's going to be?
And just after that, there was an exchange of fire between the armed men and some security and defense forces in the convoy of an MP, and they were saved by some cattle that were killed and herdsmen as a result of that. Now, we are rounding up with this edition of the Insight, but before we go, Barrister Arthur Julius, let me get your point of view on this massive momentum, I want to call it that way, around the election fever, around the move to the 2025 election year. What do you think? What does people think about it?
The government is spurring up Cameroonians to prepare for next year, because it's going to be an election year and politicking. The government is making sure that they don't violate